Anthropic's Mythos model is said to be one of the biggest breakthroughs in AI since the release of ChatGPT 3, I think. And it was so dangerous that essentially Anthropic didn't want to release it to the public. They released it to a handful of open source softwares, big companies. They released it to the government, and they never released this model. And so in order to get this powerful model into the hands of other businesses and consumers, they nerfed it essentially and called the model Fable 5. Fable 5 was supposed to be a safe version of Anthropic's Mythos, and Mythos is known for finding hundreds or thousands of vulnerabilities in common operating systems. Every piece of software on the internet runs on something called Linux, like almost every piece of software. And it found thousands of vulnerabilities in this software. And so until these companies could get those vulnerabilities patched, Anthropic agreed they were going to release it, but it was too good. They had to release something. So they took the model, they tried to nerf it down, and they not made it dumber, but they tried to make sure that it wouldn't do anything bad. And so they released a model called Fable 5. And I'm sure everyone in the technology space has heard about Fable 5. So that released, I think, the week of like June 7th. And it quickly changed how developers were thinking they were going to work. I think, Jackson, you said you watched a video of a guy just one shot with one prompt built a video game. I saw another video where someone pointed it at like Pokemon Gold on the Game Boy, and it beat Pokemon in like a day. Like it just, and it's funny how it did it. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but this model was capable of figuring out this game and playing it all the way to the end. So Fable 5 is very, very powerful. And it's also twice the cost of Opus, which I think was Anthropic's other latest model before this. But something crazy happened during all of that. So let's start with how Anthropic unveiled Claude Fable 5, the first public version of its Mythos class AI. It featured a 1 million token context window, which means it can just take in a lot more, 1 million tokens worth of information. Tokens aren't words, but you can think of words as a token, or I think you can think of it as syllables, kind of. Not really, but we'll call them syllables, 1 million syllables. It could do long running tasks, and it could significantly increase its ability to do coding and research. It's significantly better than the previous models. And just days after launch, Anthropic had to shut down access to Fable 5 and Mythos 5 following a U.S. Commerce Department directive restricting access by foreign nationals over national security concerns. So they were worried about, I wouldn't say our enemies, but other states, other governments getting access to this and using it against the U.S. So how this all started, Amazon reportedly warned officials that Fable 5 could be jailbroken to expose sensitive capabilities. So like I said at the beginning of this, Fable 5 is Mythos, which was the one that found all these security vulnerabilities in software. Mythos was supposed to be the safer version of that, but Amazon jailbroke it, and the concern escalated to the White House, ultimately leading to government intervention and the models shut down. So a lot of people are reporting on this. Wired reports that Anthropic compiled with an export controller over requiring the company to suspend access to Fable 5 and Mythos 5 while discussions with regulators continue. Time says the incident marks one of the first major attempts to regulate frontier AI through model access restrictions rather than like chip export controls and signaling. But this is signaling like a new phase of AI policy. There's been a lot of talk about how do we regulate this? How do we control it? And this is the first time Big Brother has really stepped in and shut something down.
Yeah, this is crazy. I do wonder real quick, because Anthropic kind of had beef with the current administration a few months ago.
Sure.
Where they were told to I think they pulled all of the Claude models or all of the Anthropic models from like the Department of Defense. So I'm trying to look at it through that angle too and see if this is a fair response or if this is still kind of targeted.
Jaded. Yeah. So I think what you're referencing is, there was like a Department for Defense contract in place. Anthropic didn't agree on how their models would be used. And then OpenAI steps in and says, we'll do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is a little bit of Anthropic is worried about how their models would be used in that aspect. So that's definitely a valid consideration. It's not so much, we like to think that everyone, like they're trying to protect us. I do believe if this truly is as powerful as they say, like obviously it is, we've seen examples of people doing crazy things with this new model. It is valid to like be better safe than sorry, but there are concerns with the fact that your business can be relying on something that the government can just shut down immediately. I'm not saying that's wrong for the government to shut it down, but I'm saying if your business relies on something and it's a fuzzy area on regulation, like it's not clear on how the government's going to regulate it. Think of serving alcohol before the prohibition. Essentially, it's your whole business model kind of goes away. And, when it came back, obviously it did well for those businesses, but there was definitely a time in the prohibition where those businesses didn't know if they're going to get to serve alcohol again. A lot of them did illegal things, and that's definitely not what you want to do. So how do you safely rely on this technology while also protecting yourself from outside regulations? And this isn't a question of if the regulations were right or wrong. It's more of a question of, relying on something that could get turned off at any point.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because they built in the guardrails specifically for like advanced cybersecurity, so hacking. So yeah, if someone asked about these topics, it was supposed to block it entirely or downgrade the response to the Opus model.
Yeah.
And it was like, yes, advanced cybersecurity, biology, or in chemistry, so like biological weapons, AI model development, so that other people can't, what do they call it? Where they kind of like steal the model. I can't remember the term, but they basically ask questions and gain enough context.
Learn kind of the point system, I guess. So
yeah,
or the weights and all the training data. Yeah. So reverse engineer a model.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Distillation is what they call it.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's just interesting that they released it with these safeguards in place, supposedly, and they still ended up.
Yeah, I think we've seen instances of jailbroken, ChatGPT and everything. Like if you wanted to do something illegal with it, then you pretty much just keep asking, and then the model breaks.
Yeah.
So I don't know the mechanism in place for them to add guardrails. I mean, early on in our podcast journey, the Chipotle incident came up where it's supposed to be a customer service thing, but then it's writing Python for people. I don't know the mechanism at the model provider level, but obviously it can still get jailbroken and people can prompt engineer their way through all of those guardrails.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure how they do it is they have a smaller model sitting in front of it that every prompt hits that smaller model first and it just says, is this acceptable or not? And then it'll forward that to the big scary model.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's like a middleware living between the user and the end model, and that model it has to be smaller for it to be cost effective and to be fast. But Amazon, which is funny that Amazon found it.
Yeah, they tattled to the White House.
Yeah, they tattled on them. But VentureBeat shares their thoughts on this. Enterprise customers are being advised not to rely on a single AI provider. It's very important. After the sudden shutdown demonstrated how quickly access to frontier models could disappear, international coverage emphasizes that the government order affects foreign nationals worldwide and has disrupted Anthropic's global user base and workforce. Like, obviously, it's interesting. Like, they're a U.S. company, and so they have to consider the U.S. interests.
Yeah.
Like the government controls what is imported and exported, and that means software as well.
Yeah. Going back just a little bit, you were saying like you can't rely too much on a specific model. And that's something like Palantir's CEO has been talking about a lot lately, is how all of these models will basically become commodities and you won't have just you won't have a specific AI model you use. You'll just have whatever, I don't know, model is best for your current question or whatever's available at the time. And it's all going to kind of be the same.
Yeah. I mean, AI, everyone is saying that AI is as good as the data you give it. And so the first thing you have to do if you're going to start using AI is you have to own your own data. You have to build a data lake, and just think of that as like somewhere all of the data for your company goes into it. And then you have to build a stream so that the AI has access to that data. So you're not just asking questions to the internet, you're asking questions to your company specific data. So if you put most of your resources, and I would tell anybody who is looking into AI. Number one is data collection. We have to build a repository of all the data you have that the AI sits on top of. The AI isn't actually going to solve all your problems. It's not going to do any good unless you have all of your data accessible. So all that to say, if you have your data collected and structured in a way that's indexable by a model, it really doesn't matter if Anthropic goes down. You just point OpenAI at it and it has the same data. Same thing for open source models. There's models that you can host on your own computer. It won't be as fast because you're not getting the cloud compute. But yeah, the big lesson here is own your data, have your data somewhere in a data warehouse and have that feeding the AI. Be data first, and then AI is how you interface with the data. It used to be dashboards and web pages, but now let the AI be your interface to your data. You still own the data. So then you switch providers, and that's literally just changing the front end of your data access.
Yeah, especially because this is the first time we're really seeing this where the government is putting these export controls on a model. So who knows if this, becomes the norm or more frequent.
Yeah, I mean, the longer, I think, what would be the opposite of diminishing returns, like exponential returns? I think the bigger models, the models are getting exponentially bigger, and the results are going to get exponentially bigger on top of that. So right now, the constraint is compute. It's context, it's memory. Doesn't matter how much data you have, the model matters when it comes to how much data it can read at a time and respond with. So the bigger the model is, or the bigger the capabilities of the model, the more data it can handle at a time, the better your response is. So that's where I guess the provider does matter, but just use them. But yeah, you have to own your own data. Don't be completely reliant. Like if you have a business process reliant on having the frontier model, like the best model out there, you need to build in a little bit of redundancy and be a little more careful with what you're building your business on. Because in my research, Fable 5 went live on June 9th and it went away by June 13th. So hopefully not a lot of companies were already super reliant on it. But imagine if that was out for months and then a vulnerability came out months later where you've already migrated some work to it or you built some work into it and now a smaller model wouldn't handle that work. You'd be in trouble. So
yeah,
test that you can do the thing you need with, what's proven to be something that's been out for a year. I've always said, like, when you're upgrading software and stuff, like we won't be on the latest patch. We won't be on the latest version. We'll wait a couple versions later to make sure all the kinks are worked out and stuff.
Yeah. Did you hear the story about Apple in 1999 when they launched the Power Mac G4? It got export controls placed on it.
No, interesting.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So it's kind of similar. It's tech being export controlled, but the government classified it as a supercomputer because it could exceed 1 billion calculations per second. And that triggered export controls to go, and they couldn't sell it. This has more than 50 countries. But I guess Steve Jobs just flipped it into a marketing campaign and sold a lot more here.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing Anthropic do the same thing.
100%. That's where I was going with it. Yeah. I'm sure they're going to milk this. They already kind of were with Mythos. Because when you're talking about how scary it is because it can solve all your problems, that's definitely an advertisement.
Do you want to hire this employee that is so good that it's illegal to hire him?
Yeah, right.
Like the FBI wants him. Do you want him to help you sell more lattes? Yeah, dude, sign me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's also the Nike shoe. The first Nike, I think, is the first ones to put like a carbon plate in their shoe, their running shoe, and it got banned from the Olympics. And Nike went hard on their marketing on it's so good it got banned from the Olympics.
Yeah, right.
And so huge marketing play. Yeah, so if you're looking for marketing ideas from this, we'll leave the tech side and now we'll talk about the marketing side. It'd be use your setbacks as an asset, I guess. This sucks, but not really. And I think Anthropic probably sees that.
I think they love it.
Yeah, dude, I love it.
Yeah, it is super interesting. I kind of wish I played around with it for the 3-4 days it was available, but I'm sure it'll come back.
Yeah, it'll come back. I mean, the capabilities of it are going to come back. They're going to have to figure out how to make it safe. And I'm just a guy that wants to just build stupid little things with it, or I just want it to help me distribute more content. I don't want to do anything nefarious with it. I just want to do more. So that is, it's frustrating. I wish people would just be good and not be nefarious. But I'm glad. Good job, Amazon, I guess. I mean, Amazon's got their own marketing in that too.
Yeah,
So, good on everybody. Cool. Well, I'm good on this one. Are you good?
Yep, I'm good.
Sick. Well, this has been another episode of Infacto Daily. We talk about AI and small business. If you're a small business owner and you are curious where AI fits in your business, go to infactodigital.com. You can book a free call with me, and I'll help you figure out if AI is the right fit or where to even start. If you want this podcast in other forms like written or email, you can sign up for a newsletter or go through our blog. We publish all of these in our blog. And so we'd love for you to go to infactodigital.com, check it out.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed this podcast, the best way to support us right now is to just recommend this episode to one person in your life that you think could find value in it. Maybe they're curious about the new Anthropic model and want to hear more about it.
Sick. See you all tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Peace.